federal judge says Kentuckians should not be prevented from traveling across state lines. That's what Judge William Bertelsmann says in a preliminary injunction in response to a lawsuit against the ban Governor Andy Beshear signed in an executive order back on March 30th. WYMT's Phil Pendleton read through the order and has more on what it says from the state capitol in Frankfort.
The federal judge's decision says that the governor's executive order telling Kentuckians they cannot travel across state lines with the exception of health, work, or other essential reasons is not constitutional, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. Judge William Bertelsmann says the constitutional right to travel from one state to another is firmly embedded in our jurisprudence, and he specifically mentions the Interstate 75, Interstate 71 bridge spanning Kentucky and Ohio, and how the quarantine order would result in checkpoints that could result in massive traffic jams. Quarantine facilities would be impossible for hundreds, if not thousands of people. The judge said the restrictions infringe on the basic rights of citizens to engage in interstate travel, and they carry with them criminal penalties. Governor Beshear says if they need to clarify certain orders, they will clarify them. He said they want legal constitutional orders that still protects people.
You're not going to see me react in ways that you might have seen others in the past to court cases. If a decision helps us get where we need to go, we'll adjust, we'll work with it, and we'll make sure that we're doing the very best for our people.
Attorney General Daniel Cameron has called this executive order overbroad and unrealistic, and today he stated that the judge recognizes the challenges in Kentuckians trying to comply with it. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The judge also said he ruled against the travel ban because family members who simply lived a mile away from each other in northern Kentucky and Ohio would be prevented from seeing one another, even if social distancing and regulations were observed.
Well, we've seen those scattered showers throughout the day. It was heavier rain, though, earlier this morning and a few thunderstorms, and that probably woke most of us up. We've also seen some isolated flooding issues today, especially down in the Cumberland Valley. We'll go ahead and take you up, though, to satellite and radar to show that we have been starting to clear out a little bit and maybe even a little bit of sunshine down in that Cumberland Valley, hopefully drying them out a little bit. They definitely need it after a very wet morning. As we look at pinpoint Doppler, possibly just some light rain or maybe even some light drizzle across the area. It looks like maybe a heavier downpour and maybe even some thunder and lightning in parts of Harlan County. Could be moving into Letcher in a little bit. We do still have this flood warning that goes until 5 o'clock. It was extended from 3:30 to 5. Would not be surprised to see it get extended again. That includes parts of Pulaski County, Laurel County, parts of Clay and Knox, and a little sliver of Rockcastle County as well. Once again, that goes until 5 o'clock for now. Check out those 24-hour rainfall totals. Some of us saw 1, 2, close to 3 inches of rain. Check out Somerset. However, other areas like Jackson and Dorton saw about ½ an inch to close to an inch of rain looking into parts of Whitesburg. I do know some areas in Laurel County, though, that definitely saw that 2 to 3 inches, which is why they've seen so many flooding issues throughout the day. For tonight, we'll hang on to a few showers. Temperatures look to drop into about the lower 40s. We do see that sunshine return, but not for the next day or so. I'll have the rest of that forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you very much, Paige. During COVID-19, we've brought you many stories about how communities in eastern Kentucky are giving back to healthcare workers and essential employees. Double Quick is one business showing acts of kindness. Double Quick's food truck made its way to Whitesburg ARH today, feeding a hot meal to more than 250 healthcare workers. Each meal consisted of a cheeseburger, potato wedges, half a pizza roll, and a dessert. Sounds pretty good. Double Quick Marketing Director Whitney Hogg says she's more than happy to give back to those that give so much every day.
At Double Quick, we are very committed to helping our communities. It's part of our core values. It's something that we are very passionate about. We help local sports teams. We help schools. Anybody that needs donations, we try to help the best way we can because these customers are in our stores every day. So it was just a thought of what we could do for the frontline employees who are, they're working hard, they're working extra hours, and they're in the face of danger as well.
Double Quick's food truck has already been at other hospitals across the region, and they plan to feed the essential workers at Buchanan General Hospital next week. Today was the first day of Pikeville Medical Center's drive-through testing in the lot near the former Jerry's restaurant. Testing began at 8 o'clock this morning and continued until 70 tests were completed, which was around 1:30. The testing site is open to anyone who needs one. No registration or doctor's order is required. They will remain open from 8 until around 4, Tuesday through Friday, for the foreseeable future. Vice President Mike Pence says the Trump administration is considering winding down the work of the coronavirus task force by the end of the month. The vice president says the Trump administration is considering winding down the work of the task force again by the end of the month. Meanwhile, President Trump traveled to Phoenix, Arizona, where he met with Native American tribal leaders and toured a Honeywell mask production facility before departing. The president defended his administration's decision to block members of his task force from testifying before multiple House committees.
The House is a setup. The House is a bunch of Trump haters. They put every Trump hater on the committee, the same old stuff.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, who heads up the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and other members of the coronavirus task force are scheduled to appear next week before a Republican-led Senate panel. The National Institutes of Health is launching a study to learn more about how the coronavirus affects children. While most kids have milder symptoms than adults, not all do. CBS's Dr. Tara Narula reports on what doctors hope to learn in the study.
I would never picture me having to be intubated and being in the hospital.
16-year-old Carla Duarte is a coronavirus survivor. The high school junior from New York is one of the relatively few children in the U.S. to have severe complications from COVID-19.
Her numbers were not improving. Her oxygen level was not improving.
Doctors told Carla's mom, Anna, they had one treatment option left, an ECMO machine, which pumps and oxygenates the patient's blood outside the body.
When they told me about the machine, they said, this is 50-50.
After 7 days on ECMO and 5 more on a ventilator, Carla's condition finally improved. She was sent home after 21 days in the hospital.
You never had any medical problems before this?
No.
Serious cases like Carla's are rare, complicating the efforts of investigators.
We have much less experience because the children are just getting less sick, so there are many fewer children interacting with the healthcare system and being tested.
Dr. Tina Hartert of Vanderbilt School of Medicine is leading a new NIH study remotely monitoring about 2,000 children and their families in 11 cities nationwide. She says that more data should be collected before a decision is made to send kids back to summer camp or school.
I think it's really risky to base decisions about this based on the fact that children get less sick from this virus, because that does not equal children being less likely to transmit the virus.
We're not completely sure what are the risk factors for why these children get sick with COVID.
Dr. Adrienne Randolph is leading a separate CDC-funded study at Boston Children's Hospital.
What are some of the interesting or different presentations that you've seen in children with COVID-19? It's scattered reports. What they're seeing is cardiac dysfunction, so that their heart's not working as well as it should, and abdominal pain is often part of the presentation.
12-year-old Juliet Daly went into cardiac arrest after arriving at a New Orleans emergency room.
They had to do 2 minutes of CPR on her. And then they got her back, thank God.
Her mom says she tested positive for the coronavirus and another viral infection. She was in the ICU for 10 days before recovering.
What message would you want to give other families regarding children and the risk of COVID?
Be vigilant, be careful. It can become very severe in less than a day.
Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News, New York.
The New York City Department of Health says there are 15 children in the hospital with a very rare inflammatory syndrome that they're saying is potentially associated with the coronavirus. It can involve fever, rash, low blood pressure, and inflammation of the blood vessels, including coronary arteries. Investigators have confirmed human remains found in southern Kentucky are those of missing Madison County mother Ella Jackson. Jackson disappeared in October. Richmond police charged her husband, Glenn Jackson, with murder last month. Police say the Jacksons had property close to where her remains were found last week. Glenn Jackson is also charged with tampering with evidence and abuse of a corpse. Police in Cumberland are looking for a man who's been missing since April 1st, and they think foul play was involved in his disappearance. Wilmer Perez is 21 years old and has lived in the Cumberland area of Harlan County for about 4 years. He's about 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs about 140 pounds. Officers say Perez's brother saw him walking home from Cezanne Mexican restaurant in Cumberland to his home. Police say they suspect foul play due to evidence they have uncovered and stories from witnesses.
Locations where we feel Wilmer Perez could be right now is in the Harlan County area, close here in Cumberland, Benham and Lynch, but also Letcher County and Leatherwood have been places of interest that we have heard that his possible location could be.
They also say Perez was last seen wearing a white or red shirt and a pair of black pants. If you have any information on where Perez might be, you're asked to call the Cumberland Police Department at 606-589-2105. Coming up on Mountain News at 4:30, if you owe creditors, they may try to seize your stimulus check. After weather, we'll have some advice on keeping the money for your immediate needs like groceries.
Scattered rain chances continue tomorrow, but when does that sunshine return? I'll have that answer coming up.
When you see